Yeah, we're back again for another amazing episode of the Manny Hall Show. I have an amazing guest that some of you might know, some of y'all might not be hip, but once you see this entrepreneur come out and you hear all the amazing things she's doing, you will definitely be very excited to get to know her. Here in Cleveland, she's really taken the city by storm, and I'm really excited for all the amazing things that she will share today during this conversation. So, as soon as my guest arrives, we're going to get into it. Hope all is well, y'all. Thanks for tapping in. It's going to be a great interview today. Hope all is well, everybody. Y'all tell me where y'all from while we wait on the guests to arrive. Where are you guys from? It's about to be a heavy discussion. There's going to be some good stuff that y'all going to learn and be able to grow with. But where are you guys from? Okay. Cleveland, Ohio. Okay. Represent. I'm from Cleveland, too. There's my guest. Alysha, how are you?
What's up, Manny? I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Today's been an amazing day. I
Yeah,
worked out when I didn't feel like working out. I did some work when I didn't feel like doing any work. So today's off to a great start so far.
that's awesome. I'm just fighting getting over a flu, so
Oh,
my
wow.
voice and I might sound a little out of range, but I'm happy to join and jump on the show with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Now tell the people who you are and what it is that you do.
Huh. Who am I these days? Well, my name is Alysha. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have a brand called Mas LaRae, which means more light. It's a multimedia company where we help share stories and uplift voices. We do different events, podcasts, blogs. I'm also one of the creators of Ignite with Light, which is a social enterprise. We help innovators, creators, and entrepreneurs connect with one another and then connect with resources. So I'm really passionate about that space. Being an entrepreneur for the past 7 years myself, creating different programs, different initiatives, businesses, brands across the city and nationally. And I'm just really passionate about helping other people find their purpose and their voice in the space. So also an author, so I published my first book this year.
Congrats, congrats.
I love building community. I love family. I'm centered in faith and overall purpose. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. There's a lot that I do or that I've done, but ultimately, I'm a creator. I love to create new things. I love to innovate, and I love to connect with others and help share stories.
Yeah. Now, what developed this passion inside of you? Was it there when you were a little kid, 5, 6 years old? Like, how did this thing happen?
That's a good question. It's interesting. I had a grandfather. He passed away last year, and he was always hustling. He had multiple businesses, and I remember there was one thing. My grandmother used to iron his shirts in the basement, and they had like a whole rack of. It was the same shirts, at just different colors, and that was like his uniform. It was his brand was on it,
Okay.
and I loved that. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, he gets to go to work every day. He'll be up at like 4:45 every morning
Hmm.
consistently.
Wow.
And I just loved his hustle. And at that time, like entrepreneurship wasn't a key word that we heard in our community.
Yeah.
It was really hustle, like the day to day, like get
Hmm.
it by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And I just knew, like at a young age, I wouldn't work like your typical 9 to 5. I had, just a lot of creativity within myself, a lot of different passions that I wanted to be able to create freely and not be restricted.
Yeah.
So I just thought like seeing that when I was young, and I had different jobs early on in my young adulthood, and I'm just like, man, it
Yeah.
was like those jobs that you just know, like this is not for me.
Tell me your worst job.
My worst job was working at Speedway.
Okay.
I was like like an assistant manager or associate manager, and it's funny because I remember the day I quit was like I walked in and we were short staffed. So when you're in that leadership position, you're trained to do every position. So when people call off or no show, you got to do it. And I remember my manager coming in and saying like, yo, you got to go clean the bathroom. And y'all know, like, the gas station restrooms are the most disgusting places on the planet. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, they got to get done today. And I was like, I opened the door, and you can just imagine, I won't describe what it smelled like, what it looked like, but I opened that door and I had the bottle, the disinfectant bottle in one hand and the rag in the other. And I was like, nah, there's no way. This is not for me.
Wow.
This is not for me.
Around that time or that day, did you make a decision like, all right, I'm gonna get up out of here? So.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I went home and I started looking at programs to finish my bachelor's degree.
Gotcha.
I shortly enrolled at Cleveland State a couple months after. It was a defining moment for me. I was like, this is it. Like, I have to put myself in a better position for a more better quality of life. You know, it's like there has to be more. Like, that was my question.
Yeah.
There has to be more to life than just this.
Yeah. No,
and I think we all have like one of those stories, right? It's like, man, nah, I'm good.
No, absolutely, and it happens. Like, I remember being at Denny's on the West Side and washing dishes, and just to like see the kind of like a mirror was held up, and I looked at myself like, is this really your life?
Right.
Is this really what you're gonna do for the rest of your life? And then to see like an older individual, late 50s, washing dishes next to me is like, no, can't do it. So what was that moment of you like matriculating through school that you said, I can actually see myself being a full-time entrepreneur and really being able to have an impact?
Yeah, so I started my first venture when I was doing my undergrad, actually. So around 2015, 2016, me and my mom co-created and developed a company together.
Okay.
And honestly, I was coming into it to assist her. I was going through business school. I took a entrepreneurship certification course and did a program outside of college. And I was like, oh, you know, I've learned some things. Like, let me help take your vision to the next level type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was that just like ignited the fire I felt like was always there. And it gave me a platform, an opportunity to be green, like to figure it out as I go, to make mistakes. And yeah, I dove in and I took ownership in it. And my mom really trusted the little bit of training I had, right? And she's like, well, do it, like figure it out. And so she was really the service provider and talent, and I did all the back end, website development, contracts, negotiations, business plan, strategic plan, everything, you name it. I figured it out. And that's when for me, I really learned a lot about business. And I learned that it's no different than what the streets are, right? It's like, nah, it's the same hustle, just people are wearing suits and ties.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, speaking of that, why do you think collaboration is so important for, let's just say, this entrepreneur that has been in business 3 to 5 years, but they've really been a full-time worker at their job. They just, on paper, they've been a business owner for 3 to 5 years, and they really need some help on getting to that next level. Where does collaboration come in?
Man, I live by collaboration. Everything I post, everything I share, all that who I am, I'm very collaborative. I'm a team player. I played sports my whole life. I love working with others. So collaboration has become like part of my character, I believe. Like, it's an attribute within myself. And I'm always advocating for people not to do it by themselves or feel like they're alone. Entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely. A lot of us have trust issues. A lot of us have rejection issues that stem from trauma, generational trauma. And we carry all that in our workload, in our day-to-day, how we operate in our businesses. And collaboration, to me, is how you elevate, how you scale, how you sustain. Anybody can create a business, right? But not everyone can hire their first employee. We talk about this a lot about, you know, reaching your first 6 figures. Like, that's cool, but how are we talking about hiring people?
Yeah.
There's a difference between a solopreneur and, an established company that is, has, established employees and a
Yeah.
handbook and those things. And so that's really what my mind has become shifting to now is, all right, like scalability,
Yeah.
and collaboration to me is the key ingredient for that.
Absolutely. That's dope. I'm glad the way that you explained that. And it made me think about when we were at Benedictine during the talk that I did for John Carroll, that in the past, Alysha, I've been able to walk in rooms and just be like, okay, let me give everybody the fluff that you wanted and I'll leave. I'll be out of here soon.
Peace.
But it's like now I feel compelled to give people the real. It's like, hey, don't you want to scale up? Don't you really want to experience what it's like to be a for real CEO and have people under you? And not for the bragging rights, but more so like, I know I'm an established company now. We're bringing in enough money where I can now hire and employ other people. And even from a contract standpoint, like for a very long time, I didn't have employees. I had a whole bunch of contractors from
Yeah.
overseas, other cities that were helping me get this business to where it needed to be. But collaboration was the focal point.
Yep. Absolutely. It has to be. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with being a solopreneur. Or
Mm.
I've heard this recently over the summer, and I was a workapreneur. And I was like, ooh, that's
Mhm.
real. I felt like
Mhm. Yeah,
there
yeah,
was parts of my journey, my
yeah.
entrepreneur journey, when I was just working more than a 9 to 5 would require, but I
Mm.
wanted the freedom of calling myself an entrepreneur. Like that's
Yeah,
a tough conversation.
yeah, yeah,
Like that transparency, especially in our communities of color.
yeah.
Entrepreneurship looks so glamorous on social media and on the news and on TV shows, but entrepreneurship is not for the weak at
Mm.
all. It's
Mm.
not for the weak. And so we have to really talk about the challenges and the struggles that we have as entrepreneurs, scaling or advancing, or failure. Like
Mm.
failure happens. Like risk and reward
Yeah.
in that formula is failure.
Mm.
And like it's okay. Like I've had stuff that just like, it was great for the moment, but it's not here today.
Yeah.
And so you can use failures or lesson learns. Some people don't like the word fail, but everything that doesn't define a success or meet your expectation is a lesson learned, and we have to be able to create safe places to talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, you're totally right. And why do you think that we as business owners stay stuck for so long?
Man, well, my next book is going to be talking about that. It's going to be heavy on that survival mentality.
Mm.
A lot of us come out of or live in survival day to day. And so I use this example a lot. It's like when your house is in order, you don't have a personal plan, you don't have a budget, your personal budget, you don't have personal goals, but you have a business and you think that your business is going to strive and be successful with that same formula, it won't.
Mm.
Your business as entrepreneurs, as a business owner, is a reflection of your life.
Yep.
So a
Facts.
lot of time we're stuck is because we're operating out of survival mindset or mentality that doesn't allow for success to be
Mm.
fruitful or
Mm.
prosperable. Like
Mm.
it just is, there's no room for it at
Mm.
all.
Mm. Alicia, say that part again. You said there's no room for it,
There's
huh?
no room for it's
Uh,
like light, it's like light and dark. Like when the
mm.
light's there, there's no darkness.
Mm.
So like that mentality really, I believe it is the underlining issue that hinders our next level, our elevation in
Mm.
business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people never even recognize that they're functioning in it.
Mm.
But every meeting, every negotiation, every opportunity is rooted in that mentality
Mm.
for a lot of us. And so the way that you make a business deal, maybe you going in and not asking for the right price,
Mm.
maybe you cutting yourself short, maybe you walking away or walking away from an opportunity
Yep.
because you felt that self-sabotage.
Yep.
That all goes
Yep.
back down to that that survival mentality. There's so many examples. And it was when I had that aha moment for myself was like, damn, I'm functioning out of survival, but I've already survived.
Mm, mm, mm.
But like that piece, so now I'm like having to unlearn certain tactics or behavior that got me through to survive
Yeah.
that's no longer applicable for my day-to-day life, but I was holding on to it.
That talk, Alysha. Go ahead. I'm listening.
And so like now it's like, all right, well, I don't need to do X, Y, and Z anymore. Like it's not relevant for my day-to-day now.
Mm. Is y'all listeners? Let's take a commercial break. Are you guys listening? If you at work, get that notepad that you normally use for work. You've been writing other stuff in it anyway. Take some notes for what she's saying, because this is the type of information that could seriously get you to this next place. It's not in the fluff, y'all. It's not. It's these practical things that we need to do when you're literally starting. I told you about this before, but there's a really great book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. We got to really start examining the thoughts that we're thinking. Every single thought that comes to your mind, here's what I had to find out. It's not true. There's some thoughts that keep coming through your head like, oh, I probably can't do it. I probably got to wait until the new year to do something. I remember I talked to a client. She said, I'm gonna wait until the first of the year to start. And I said, let's not. She said, well, why not? I said, that's an excuse. She's like, what do you mean? I said, everybody says that. The reality you actually executing on January 1st because you said it doesn't mean that it's going to really happen. But it's really switching the way that we are. And Alysha, what you're saying is so powerful. I hope that everybody is not just listening. Thank you for listening. But you guys are actually taking notes that you're going to execute on this information. Because if you can change you, the way that you think about you, there'll be certain rooms that you don't even allow yourself to go in no more because you know it's full of unproductive people.
Facts. Yep. That unproductivity, it was interesting. I went through a season. And when I say season, I mean a couple years where I didn't go places that weren't going to either position me to make money, even if it was short-term game or a long-term game. I stopped going. I even stopped watching sports. And I grew up on sports. Like, I huge Clevelanders, like, we're the biggest sports fans in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, that's 4 hours. Okay, that's almost half of your daytime, and it's not making me nothing. Yep. I'm not benefiting anything from that. So I there were certain things and activities that I just had to stop doing and partaking in because it just wasn't providing any fruit for the season I was in.
And did it take you a while to become aware of that, or did you see it initially?
No, it took me a while. I mean, that was back in like 2017, 18. Like, I'll come over for the game. I'm like, no, I'm good. And I just like lost the interest in it overall too. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's just like the changing your mentality in a lot of things. For me, although it was something that was in my culture, I was raised in it. We watched Browns games every Sunday.
Yeah.
We were at Cavs games faithfully, like, and that was a part of my culture, my family. And it's just like, no, I'm just like, I'm good. Not saying I don't love them, because I'll go and hang out, but it was crazy because I hung out with some friends for the Ohio State game, and I was so mad afterwards. Yes, they lost, but the fact that I spent 6 hours on a Saturday, and I haven't done that in years, Manny, and that was like part of my identity for a while. And I was like, I was so mad at myself.
Yeah.
The fact that they even lost. That put the cherry on top. Like, damn, I wasted a whole day and they lost.
Yeah, but it's really like those conversations that you start to have with yourself, like, I'm changing. I'm not the same person I used to be. Like, it's something that's evolving inside of me where my desires are changing. Like, when clients come to me and say, well, Manny, I know that you're not the health guru, but like, what did you do to lose weight? Because I had a big old beer belly. Don't even drink beer, at least. Like, my belly was like sticking out massively big. And from the back, it would look like I was a skinnier type of guy that was in shape. But if I turned around, that belly was like, hey.
Right.
It was like, man, I got to do something else. So the thing that worked for me was not sticking to any diet, not forcing myself to eat certain foods, but literally changing my mind about who I thought I was.
Wow.
So when I saw this Manny that's in pretty decent shape now, I said, "Hey, how you look like that, bro? What you be doing? What's your habits? What's your routine?" He said, "Hey, man, I go to the gym." I said, "Oh, what you be eating? Not all that stuff you be eating. So you got to change it up." I said, "Oh,
Got
okay.
to.
So if I want to be you, I got to change me right now." He said, "Yes." And you got to start reading more books, because when you start connecting yourself to other successful people like Alysha, I see Jay just joined. Now I'm almost want to like stay in this upper echelon club and doing the same consistent behaviors that these people do that's making them successful.
Right.
So it's like, really, we just got to ask ourselves these questions.
Absolutely. Continuously, because it's like seasons change, you
Yeah.
change, you evolve, and you outgrow. Um, I think that's one of the toughest things. It's like when you outgrow a situation or a relationship,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
become attached to it. I've gone through that recently, and it's just like, man, I don't want to let this relationship go, but I know God is pulling me in a different direction. So that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's not easy. This is not easy work. And if
Yeah.
it was, there'd be more people healthier, right? We
Yeah.
wouldn't have the different health conditions in our community,
Yeah.
mentally, physically,
Yeah.
spiritually, like the list goes on. So what I hear you describing is that holistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not one, I don't practice this one thing
Exactly.
or one day. It's like, no, it's all of these elements,
Yeah.
and I call them essentials for me.
Hmm.
Without it,
Yeah.
I am like worthless. First
Hmm.
of all, to myself,
I
and
love
then externally, I am no benefit to anybody if
it.
I don't practice certain
Hmm.
elements and essentials that really keep me going, that allows me to be the Mas LaRae brand, that
Yeah.
allows me to ignite with light. If
Yeah.
I don't, and I know when I don't, because I'll be out of whack, I'll be out of
Mm.
order,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be cutting up, we know ourselves,
Uh-huh.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, just practicing those things consistently and taking ownership. And no, this has to be a lifestyle. It can't
Yeah.
just be something I visit
Yeah.
when I'm unhealthy, or when I need something from God, I go and pray. It's like, no, this
Yeah.
has to be
Mm.
a part of my identity,
Mm.
threaded in my
Mm.
spirit.
I love this. Lisa, this is a great conversation. Let me just say that.
Hey, you already know we're coming together. I mean, I love that we've been able to connect. I feel like there's so much synergy between you and I, our belief systems and our practices and our values, and we're seeing the evidence in our day to day.
Yeah,
Let it speak for itself.
absolutely. And I think, y'all, that there's people inside of your city, there's people on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, that it's like, you see them, you're like, yeah, I think I should reach out to them. You're like, nah, I ain't gonna say nothing to them because I don't want them to think that I like them enough. It's like, that's okay to
Right.
be the person that is acknowledging that somebody else has a skill set that you admire, that y'all can work together. Because back to your point about collaboration, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't collaborate with people. And I'm an introvert, y'all. I'm not this person that's out on the scene screaming, yeah, Manny here. That's not my style. But give me these little smaller conversations. I'm going to give people so much juice. They're going to be like, wow, Manny, like, I can't take no more. I need a break. Simply because I know me. But it's like, we got to get a chance to know us up against this person that you want to eventually become.
Right.
So
Right.
talk about that process as we kind of close out. Talk about this process of you becoming this Alysha, and like some of the things that you had to notice and say to yourself, like, I want to be the successful business owner, but these are limitations, these things is holding me back. Talk about that part.
Man, that's an ongoing process, an ongoing journey. In my book, Complete, actually, I talk about a specific time period, 7 year a journey of completion. The book is called Complete, and I talk
Mm-hmm.
about my pathway to true self discovery. So that question is really deep, enough for me to write a book about.
Yeah,
That's how deep
gotcha,
it is for
gotcha.
me, because there was so much. We heard growing up a lot, a product of your environment.
Mm.
I hated hearing that because my environment was nothing. It was nothing. It was violence. It was drugs. It was dark. It was low income jobs. It was
Yeah.
poverty. So if I'm a product of that, then there's no hope for me.
Mm.
And so when I was in high school, that mentality I started not accepting that. And I started changing the narrative. It's like my environment is a product of me. So I have that means that I have the power. Your thing here, breaking the habit of being yourself. So now I have to learn myself. So starting to dig deeper, like, who am I really? And does my environment define who I am? And so I had to do a lot of peeling back what I call, or what a lot of people call, the false identity.
Yeah.
Which is, no, that's not who I am. I'm not trauma. I'm not poverty. I'm not having a child at 14 years old. I'm not these things. So I'm not uneducated. So then if I'm not those things, then I need to discover who I am. And who's the best person to discover that with than the ultimate creator?
Yeah.
I needed to learn from who created me, from that creator's viewpoint. I needed to know how I was seen and how I was valued. So I went deep with it, man. I went all the way to the inner core of my existence, into my being, of learning who I am and discovering that I am love. I am peace. I am prosperity. I am these attributes, these elements. Although I never maybe experienced it growing up or even generationally, that's not an excuse to say I cannot experience it now and moving forward. So like my mentality shifted. I feel like not just my mentality, but my core of who I am. Yeah. And I started to discover who I was truly created to be. And then from there, it was like, okay, this is who I'm created to be. Now, how do I function in that? This is where you get into purpose, right? Yeah. So Mas LaRae is a perfect example of, once I peeled back all of that falseness, I'm not that anymore. Thank God, right? Yeah. And I started walking and discovering who I was. Then I started finding my purposes. And I say purposes because it's not just one thing. It's multiple elements of who we are. And that's an evolution throughout an entire existence of life. Yeah. And so little by little, I started finding like, wow, man, I really like this. Or I remember doing this when I was a little girl. Right? I was like, man, I love doing this when I was writing was one thing. Yeah. So there's so many examples I can use about really, really disassociating myself with that false identity, discovering who I truly am, and then walking in the functionality and the purpose of who I was created to be. And that's really where I'm at now. It's like the evolution of truth in my day-to-day walk.
You know why this is so good is that it lines right up with everything that the Lord has been showing me these last couple of days, because he showed me, Alysha, the other day. He said, that scripture that says, this is the day that the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. He said, Manny, that automatically debunks every occasion to say that we have good days and bad days. We've been believing that lie as believers. Like, oh, everybody has good days and bad days. Can't be happy every day. Who says that? The Bible just told us that this is the day. Will he make a day purposely for us to be miserable?
No, sir.
And if he and if you said, okay, well, maybe he made some miserable days, then why would he tell us to rejoice and be glad in it? And then why would he tell me to grab somebody else to also rejoice? Because it said, let us rejoice and be glad in it. So with that in mind, we're supposed to always be in this place of peace, of happiness, of joy, realizing that because our God is a creator, we can create some peace. We can create some joy. We can create some abundance inside of our own lives and not be in this stuck place. All of y'all beautiful believers, entrepreneurs, business owners, whoever you are out there, Alysha has a gift that she made a decision to pull out. She could have kept it wrapped up and hidden for the rest of her life. But she says, you know what? There's something inside of me that something and somebody out there needs desperately. So I'm going to show up, even at the risk of making myself uncomfortable. Any last words, Alysha?
I'm going to say uncomfortability is going to be there. It's going to continue to be there throughout the evolution of ourselves and that lifestyle. No, I think this is really great. I mean, I'm a very passionate person. I'm an open book, so anybody that wants to learn more or connect or wants to dive deeper into your own purpose or self-discovery, like feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, overall, life is a journey, and you know, you ain't gonna figure it out overnight. It's an ongoing process, and anybody that tells you different, it ain't the truth. You know, it's not the truth. So continue to invest in yourself. I was just blogging about this yesterday. The return on self-investment, the ROI. Are you serious? Are you serious? The ROI on self-investment, and that's physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, all the E's, right?
Yeah.
That is the return on that is life-changing. It's generationally changing. Like it's vast. And so yeah, I'm just in a really great place, and it's not easy. Like you have your days, you have your moments, and it's not always glitter and unicorns.
Yeah.
But I am overly committed to fulfilling my destiny on earth. And that destiny is not a destination. It's a day-to-day lifestyle. And I think we've been conditioned, like we got to get somewhere to be fulfilled. It's like every moment, even if it's not exactly where you want to be, I give thanks in this, where I'm at, because where I was, where my mother was, where my grandmother was, where her mother was, we've come a long way. So those shirts that we're seeing and those quotes that we're seeing about "I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams," that is so truthful.
Yeah.
So I guess I leave it with that. It's like keep trying, keep investing, and get connected with other like-minded people or believers or creators or artists that help ignite what's in you, and get away from the folks who just want to do the same old and is okay with being comfortable in life, because we're here for so much more to experience and take ownership and create. So thank you, Manny, for having me. I love it. I'm looking forward to creating with you.
Oh yeah, we're about to do some amazing things. We're gonna shake things up. All right, well, peace and blessings, everybody. Alysha, I'm going to tag you, so it's gonna be on your page as well for people to hear this dynamic. Listen, this type of stuff that you said today, we're gonna talk about this offline, but this is worth thousands and thousands of dollars for people to get unstuck. So praise God. All right, I love you guys. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.